Life moves quickly. One day we're young and full of dreams, and in what feels like the blink of an eye, we're looking back, wondering where the time went. We often live as though we have forever, but the truth is we don't. Life is short. It's fragile. And none of us are promised tomorrow. We wake up, we go about our daily routines, and we assume there will always be another day. But there won't always be another day. I've stood beside too many graves. I've seen the tears of mothers burying their sons, husbands laying their wives to rest, children saying goodbye to parents far too soon. Death is no respecter of age or status. It comes suddenly, often without warning. And when it comes, it reminds us all of one sobering reality: life is brief. The Bible describes our life as a vapor, here for a little while and then gone. Like the morning mist that rises with the sun and disappears before noon, so is our life. We are here for a short season, and then we step into eternity. We don't like to think about that. We busy ourselves with work, entertainment, and plans for the future, hoping to avoid the uncomfortable reality that none of us know how long we have. But the truth remains, every heartbeat is a gift from God. Every breath is His grace extended to us once more. Yet we often live as though we are the authors of our time. We push aside the gentle reminders: an illness, an accident, the loss of a friend, telling ourselves, that won't happen to me. I have plenty of time. But do we? Some of you may be thinking right now, I'm young. I have my whole life ahead of me. But youth is not a guarantee of longevity. I've seen young lives cut short in tragic accidents. I've watched vibrant souls succumb to sickness before they ever had the chance to grow old. And others of you might say, I'm healthy, I take care of myself. But health is no shield against the brevity of life. Heart attacks, strokes, accidents, they come when we least expect them. You may have all the wealth this world can offer, but money cannot buy you another day. You may hold positions of power and influence, but no authority can hold back the hand of death when it knocks. Life is short, and it is uncertain. We are all just one breath away from eternity. Some of you have lost loved ones, and you know this truth deeply. You've felt the sting of goodbye. You've looked at that empty chair at the dinner table, or held the hand of someone you love as they slip from this life into the next. You know how quickly it can all change. If life is so short, if we are here today and gone tomorrow, what should that mean for us? It should mean that we live with urgency. It should mean we stop wasting time on things that do not matter. It should mean we focus on what is eternal. Some of you have been putting off getting right with God. You say, I'll do that later, when I'm older, when life settles down. But later is not promised. Today is the day of salvation. Now is the time to surrender your life to Christ. Don't wait until it's too late, because life is short and eternity is long. Time is one of the most precious gifts we've been given, yet it's also one of the most wasted. We live as though we have an endless supply of it, but every single day is a step closer to the end of our journey. The clock doesn't stop. It never pauses. Every moment that passes is a moment we will never get back. And once it's gone forever. I've met people who look back on their lives with deep regret. They say, if only I had spent more time with my family. If only I had told my children I loved them more. If only I had made peace with that friend before they passed away. Time slipped through their fingers and they can't go back and fix it. They can't reclaim those lost hours. We are all given the same 24 hours each day. The question is, how are we using them? Some people spend their days chasing wealth, status, and success, believing that these things will satisfy their hearts. They pour their time into careers, neglecting their families, neglecting their relationship with God. Then one day they reach the top of the ladder, only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. They have everything they thought they wanted, but their hearts are empty. Their children are grown and distant. Their marriages are strained, and their souls are far from God. Others waste their time in idleness, consumed by distractions. Hours are lost in front of screens scrolling, watching, entertaining ourselves while life quietly passes by. We say, I'll pray tomorrow, I'll read my Bible next week, I'll spend time with my family when things settle down. But tomorrow turns into next week turns into next year, and before we know it, the best years of our lives are behind us. Time is a gift, but it is also a test. God has entrusted each of us with a certain number of days. What are we doing with them? Are we investing in things that matter, our faith, our families, our relationships with others, or are we squandering the precious time we've been given? I remember visiting a man in the hospital many years ago. He was nearing the end of his life and he knew it. He didn't talk about his business or his bank account. He didn't mention his achievements or the awards on his wall. He talked about his family. He talked about his faith. He talked about the things he wished he had done differently. And as I listen, I realize when the end draws near, it's not the things of this world that hold our hearts. It's the eternal things, the people we love, the God we serve, the difference we made in the lives of others. You may be young and strong today, but time is moving quickly. You may feel like you have all the time in the world, but one day you will look back and wonder where it all went. Don't wait until that day to start living with purpose. Don't wait until you're facing death to realize what truly matters. Choose today to value your time. Choose today to give your heart fully to God. Choose today to love your family well. Choose today to spend your life on what will last for eternity. Because the time is short, and we will not pass this way again. There comes a time in every person's life when they begin to wonder, what is this all for? Why am I here? What's the purpose behind all of this? You can have everything this world offers, the money, the success, the pleasures, but still feel empty inside. Because deep down, our souls were created for something greater. We were something greater. And until we come to know Him, we will always feel that something is missing. I've met people from every walk of life, rich and poor, famous and unknown, and the deepest need is always the same. It's not more money. It's not more possessions. It's not even more time. It's to know God, to have peace with Him, to be certain that when this short life is over, we will be with Him for all eternity. Nothing else can fill that space in our hearts. We were designed to walk with our Creator. And when we try to live apart from Him, life loses its meaning. Some of you may feel that emptiness right now. You've tried everything this world offers, but your soul is still restless. You've chased success, but it hasn't satisfied you. You've sought happiness in relationships, but people have let you down. You filled your life with entertainment, but it's only distracted you for a little while. And in those quiet moments, when it's just you and your thoughts, you still feel that void, that longing for something more, that longing for God. Others of you know the truth. You were raised in a Christian home. You've heard the gospel many times. You know the right words to say. But somewhere along the way, your heart drifted. Life got busy. Other things took priority. And your relationship with God became something you pushed to the side. You still believe, but you're not walking closely with Him. You're not seeking Him daily. And if you're honest, you feel the distance. You feel the dryness in your soul. But God is still calling you. His arms are still open. He's never stopped loving you. And He's never stopped waiting for you to come back. Life is short, and we don't have time to live at a distance from the one who gave us breath. We don't have time to keep putting off our spiritual lives thinking we'll get serious about God someday. Someday may never come. All we have is today. And God is inviting you to know Him deeply, to walk with Him closely, to surrender your life fully. Some of you may feel unworthy. You may think you've made too many mistakes, wandered too far. But let me tell you, there is no sin too great for God's grace. There is no past so broken that He cannot redeem it. He loves you. He sent His Son, Jesus Christ, to die on the cross for you, so that your sins could be forgiven, so that you could be made new, so that you could be brought into a relationship with Him. Don't waste your life searching for meaning in places that will never satisfy you. Don't spend your short time on this earth running from the very one who created you and loves you. Turn to Him. Seek Him with all your heart. Walk with Him every day, because life is short and eternity is waiting. Everywhere I go, I meet people who want their lives to count. Deep down, we all want to know that when our time here is over, we've made a difference, that we didn't just pass through this world unnoticed, leaving nothing behind. There's something in every heart that longs for our days to mean something. We were made for that. God created us with a purpose, not just to exist, but to make an impact on the people around us. But so many people get to the end of their lives and realize they've spent their best years on things that didn't really matter. They built careers, they gathered possessions, they chased after success, but when they look back, those things don't satisfy. The titles and the bank accounts can't bring comfort in those final moments. What matters then is the difference they made in the lives of others, the love they shared, the people they helped, the ways they reflected the light of Christ. I remember visiting a man who had achieved everything the world would call success. He had a beautiful home, a thriving business, the respect of his community. But as he faced the end of his life, there was sorrow in his eyes. He said to me, "I wish I had done more for others. I wish I had spent more time loving my family. I wish I had given more of myself to God's work." He had all the things money could buy, but he realized too late that what truly mattered were the things money could never purchase. You see, life is short. We don't have time to waste building our own little kingdoms while the needs of others go unmet. We don't have time to chase after the applause of men when God is calling us to serve. Every day is an opportunity to touch someone's life, to offer kindness, to speak words of hope, to point someone to Christ. But if we're not careful, the days slip away and the opportunities pass us by. There are people around you right now, neighbors, co-workers, family members who are hurting. Some are lonely, some are battling fears and doubts, some don't know love of God and their souls are searching. You may be the only person who can reach them. You may be the only one who will show them what God's love looks like. Your words, your kindness, your prayers, they can make an eternal difference. I think about the life of Jesus. He didn't live for wealth or comfort. He didn't seek power or fame. He lived to serve. He spent his time with the broken, the outcast, the sinners. He washed the feet of his disciples. He healed the sick. He welcomed the children. He gave everything, even his life, so that others might find life. That's the kind of life that leaves a lasting impact. That's the kind of life God is calling each of us to live. You don't have to be famous to make a difference. You don't need a platform or a big name. Sometimes the greatest impact comes from the quiet acts of love that no one else sees. A listening ear, a helping hand, a prayer whispered, and these are the things that change lives. One day we will all stand before God, and he won't ask how much money we made or how many awards we won. He will ask what we did with the life he gave us. Did we love well? Did we serve faithfully? Did we point others to him? Because life is short, and only what's done for Christ will last. Life has a way of rushing by, pulling us from one thing to the next so quickly that we often forget to pause and appreciate what we already have. We get so focused on what's ahead, on what we're trying to achieve, on what we don't yet have, that we overlook the blessings right in front of us. But when you realize how short life truly is, it changes the way you see things. Suddenly the little moments matter more, the simple things become precious, and you begin to see that each day is a gift from God. I've spoken with people who face tragedies, people who've lost loved ones in an instant without warning. And time and again they've said the same thing: I wish I had appreciated those ordinary days more. I wish I had held on to those moments a little longer. Because when life changes suddenly, those everyday moments sitting around the dinner table, hearing the laughter of your children, walking hand in hand with your spouse, those are the things you miss the most. We often think we need something bigger to be happy. We tell ourselves, I'll be content when I get that promotion, when I have a bigger house, when things slow down. But joy isn't found in reaching the next milestone. It's found in recognizing the beauty of today. It's found in waking up and thanking God for the breath in your lungs, for the sunrise in the sky, for the people you love. It's found in knowing that every heartbeat is a reminder of his grace. Some of you may be walking through hard times right now. Life hasn't turned out the way you planned. You're carrying burdens no one else sees, and it can be hard to feel grateful when you're hurting. But even in the valley, God is with you. Even when life feels heavy, his goodness is still there. Sometimes it's in the smallest things, a kind word from a friend, the strength to get through another day, that we see his hand the clearest. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring your pain. It means choosing to see God's faithfulness even in the midst of it. Others of you are so busy striving that you've forgotten how to be still. You're constantly pushing for more and more success, more security, more recognition, but you rarely stop to enjoy what God has already given you. You're racing through life, but you're missing it. And one day you may look back and realize that the best moments were the ones you were too busy to notice. Gratitude changes the way we live. It softens our hearts. It lifts our eyes from what we lack to what we've been given. It reminds us that every good thing comes from God, and it draws us closer to Him. When we live with thankful hearts, we find joy not in what we own, but in who He is. We see our families as a blessing, not a burden. We see each sunrise as another chance to love and serve. We see every day as an opportunity to honor God with our lives. Life is short. We don't know how many days we have, but we can choose to make the most of every one of them. We can choose to live with grateful hearts. We can choose to see each moment as a gift from God. Because when it's all said and done, we won't wish we had more things. We'll wish we had more time to cherish the people we love. And we'll wish we had spent more of our days thanking God for the life He gave us. One of the greatest illusions we live under is that we have plenty of time. We push things off to tomorrow, next week, next year, believing that life will always stretch out before us. We think we'll always have more time to say, I'm sorry, more time to forgive, more time to love, more time to get right with God. But life doesn't work that way. Life is uncertain. None of us knows how many days we have left. And for some, tomorrow may never come. I've stood beside too many hospital beds and gravesides to believe anything else. I've watched families gather in shock, trying to process the sudden loss of someone they thought would be with them for years to come. I've seen tears fall as people whispered regrets, wishing they had called more, visited more, made things right when they had the chance. And every time I'm reminded that life is fragile, it can be taken from us in a heartbeat. We are not promised another day. But we often live as if we are. We hold grudges, letting bitterness build walls between us and those we love. We wait to say the words we know we need to say, words like I love you, or I forgive you, or I'm sorry. We assume we'll get around to it eventually, but what if eventually never comes? What if today is all we have? I've spoken to people whose hearts were broken because they waited too long. They needed to reach out. They meant to make peace, but they waited until it was too late. And now all they are left with is the weight of what could have been. That's not how God wants us to live. He calls us to be people of grace, people who forgive quickly, who love deeply, who live with open hearts. Because life is too short for anything else. Maybe there's someone in your life you need to forgive. Maybe there's someone you need to call. Maybe there's someone you need to embrace and tell them how much they mean to you. Don't wait. Do it today. Don't let pride or fear keep you from making things right. Relationships are too precious and time is too short. And the most important relationship of all is your relationship with God. Some of you have felt Him tugging at your heart for a long time. You know you need to surrender your life to Him. You know you need to stop running. You keep telling yourself, I'll get serious about my faith one day. I'll turn to God when I'm older. I'll make room for Him later. But what if later never comes? What if today is your only chance? There is nothing more urgent than making peace with God. Nothing is more important than knowing where you will spend eternity. You may have plans for tomorrow, but God is asking for your heart today. He's inviting you to come to Him now just as you are. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need to clean yourself up first. He loves you. He's ready to forgive you. He's ready to walk with you through the rest of your days, however many there may be. Life is short, too short to waste in anger, too short to spend running from God, too short to put off what matters most. The time to forgive is now. The time to love is now. The time to give your heart to God is now, because we are not promised tomorrow. We only have today.